All right. What's up, you dirtbags? My name's Luke Egebraten. I'm so stoked to be here, not by myself, but with the man himself, James Stixma. James, we just wrapped up one of the most amazing episodes with our guest, Scott Lidster. How did you feel it went down? What were your thoughts having Scott in studio with us?
What a cool guy, man. I didn't know of Doug, or sorry, I want to say Doug Lidster. That guy used to play for the Vancouver Canucks. No, Scott Lidster. I didn't know about him beforehand, but what an awesome guy. Very genuine, very insightful. Really enjoyed our time with him discussing, some of his journey, some of the antics between him and his brother when they were younger, and yeah, just a great guy all around.
Yeah, there's just so much packed in here. I think I'll have to take a look, but I think this might be our longest episode we've ever done. And I know a lot of our listeners have reached out too, saying they appreciate the longer episodes where there's more that we talk about. It's not just 4 or 5 questions. There's so much more personality you can get out of people when you're on for that long. And really, when we go that long, it isn't because we're trying to time it or anything. It's just all natural. It's organic. It is our guest and us just having a good time. And with Scott, he's from Australia, as you'll hear. He is the man. A lot of you probably already follow him. We'll mention it in the show too, but Scott Lidster, you can find him on LinkedIn or Instagram. His handle is at Australian Earth Training. And he provides so much value to the industry and to everyone in it. But what an electric conversation.
Yeah, it was great. Everything felt natural. This is the least prep work I've ever done for one of these interviews, and it went smooth. It was great, like you said.
Yeah. And whichever day you're listening to this on, as you're listening, you're just going to get good vibes the whole time from Scott and even James, of course. And it just went so well. We got some plans for Con Expo coming up. He came for his first time in 2023. As we'll talk about, he actually spoke with our dirtbag himself, Mr. Luke Payne. And so I got to see him in person, got to speak, or Luke Payne got to speak with him, and just the nicest guy ever. So super, super excited for you dirtbags to listen to this episode number 103. We've got a lot more coming down the pipeline, starting to put together more things for this Con Expo meetup. I'm actually on the Con Expo attendee advisory board, which unreal how that happened. I'm not sure how I ended up there, but we actually had a conversation about it today, and they asked, as if you were hypothetically had a community of people that wanted to get together, like how could Con Expo help? And I was like, well, we're trying to do that right now. So we threw together some ideas, and it sounds like they're very interested in helping us get together at the show. But really, it's more the logistics. Like as James, as you and I have been talking about it, how do we get potentially? It could be 20 people that listen to the podcast. It could be 200. But how do we do it where it's not like stuffy? It's not, you don't need reservations or any of that, but we can just meet up. So I think we're going to come up with some solutions that could be easy, could be at the show already, and could be a good fit for everybody.
Yeah, we gotta get them on that house idea like they have at the Olympics when we had it out here in 2010. There was different areas for different countries, and so you had Canada House, you had Germany House, Netherlands House, like ideas like that. So it doesn't necessarily need to be done by country, but maybe you do it by industry. Like, hey, here's where all the on-site guys are. Here's where the civil guys are, or whatever. Like, just create these little environments or these little meetup places. I think that would be a really, really cool idea to borrow from some of those Olympic events as well.
Yeah, and they're definitely on top of it. I'm actually amazed at how well like they listen. Like when people give feedback, they listen and they're willing to try new things. So really excited. I'll talk more about it once I get some more answers, but I think we have a good spot for the meetup. at the show, and they would
Awesome.
help provide that. And so I just want to keep talking about it because this would be a huge miss on all of our parts, like not just me, not just you, but everyone listening, to not do something together. There's just so many great people in this industry, and a lot of them are connected through some of these episodes, and just would be so great to get people together at the show. And the networking is endless there. And yeah, maybe we'll see if we can get Scott to make an appearance as well, which would be electric. So we'll dive right into it here. This is episode number 103. James, you are in the running for guest host of the year 2025. You absolutely crushed it on this one. Thank you again for all your help. But without further ado, let's have a great day. Let's dive into episode 103 with the man from Australian Earth Training, Scott Lidster.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right. What's up, you dirtbags? My name is Luke Egerbroughton, and I have the ultimate privilege of getting to host this episode, number 103 of the Dirtbags podcast. But I'm not going solo today because we have our 2024 Dirtbags guest host of the year, Mr. James Stixma, in the studio. How are we doing, James?
What is up, Luke? I'm doing great. Anytime you reach out to me, it's a good excuse to jump on, because then I have to clean up my office a little bit for the Zoom call. So always going to say yes to that, especially when I start to get overwhelmed with a mess. So
yeah, once your office gets out of hand, your wife texts me. She's like, "Yeah, maybe we should have him on the podcast so we can clean it up a little bit."
Exactly.
James, how's everything going? How's business been? I know we're kind of cruising into the, I guess, quarter 4 here, but how's everything going on your guys' end?
Yeah, it's been going great. Been pretty busy on a large commercial site for the last little bit. Got some big bids out we're waiting to hear back on that could take up a good chunk of our year next year. So it's been all systems go so far, and yeah, happy with how it's turned out to date. So how about you?
It's been good, man. Yeah, I know one of these episodes we'll go into it more in detail, but the trip we took this summer was unbelievable. It really pushed myself and our whole team to go into a whole nother gear with business. And it was really, really cool. Very special getting to spend that time with Olivia, spending 2 months overseas, and the history side of it too. I was kind of a history nut before, especially World War II, but getting to go to Germany, Austria, Italy, and then Japan, basically all the Axis powers was unbelievable. So yeah, man, things have been great since then, kind of jumping back into it. I really missed getting to work. So I think it was a great hard reset, and excited to be back on the podcast with you in studio as well.
With all those countries you visited, I got to ask, is that lightsaber behind you? What color is it? Red? Maybe?
I've got 2. So I've got the Anakin Skywalker episode 3. Obviously, this one's the most iconic. Let me fire it up for the viewers at home. Brother. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Let me show you my one other one here. One sec.
Well, you may own 2 lightsabers, Luke, but I bought 2 lightsabers, but those are for my kids. So
James, this is a great plug for the YouTube channel. If anyone wants to see what I'm holding up, I've got Count Dooku's lightsaber as well. This thing is my Sith lightsaber. So yeah, man, just things are going great. Lightsabers are holding up well. Not to go too deep into Star Wars here, but Olivia, my wife, had a Star Wars themed team retreat at their company Carvana. And so I gave her my lightsabers. I gave her my Chewbacca Hawaiian shirt, and apparently it was a hit. So I knew those things would come in handy.
I still haven't watched a single one of those movies yet.
Yeah, we'll get you on that.
It's a badge of honor at this point. I don't think I should be able to allow to watch them anymore.
Oh, I love it. But yeah, man, things are great and couldn't be any better. This episode that we have today, episode 103, is one that has actually been, I know I say this a lot, but this one's actually been in the planning stages for a while. And the man himself, cool fact about this episode, 3 different countries are represented right now on this podcast, which it didn't hit me until we hit record. So obviously I'm in Arizona in the United States. James, you're up in Canada. And with that, we got to bring in our guest, the man himself, Scott Lidster, out in Australia, Queensland, Australia, from Australian Earth Training. Scott, welcome to the studio.
Hello, Luke. I've got a plastic cup that's full of water. 9 a.m. over here. So, yeah, as much as I'd like to rip into a beer with you, it probably wouldn't work out real good for me for the rest of the day. But appreciate the chat, man, and you reaching out and invite me on, and yeah, really stoked, mate.
Absolutely. And another reason.
Fun fact, Luke, we've got 3 different countries. You've also got 3 different high vis patterns being represented here.
True.
United States has that old H pattern. Canadians, we've got that X on the back. And out in Australia, I've seen a bunch of those, what do they call them, a barrel pattern or a hoop pattern or something like that?
James, too controversial.
Starting off with some fists here.
Oh, it is. I tell you what, man. If I could go one more day without high vis, I'd be a happy person because, yeah, to see a color out there, bro.
There you go.
I love it. Yeah, we got all black today, so all 3 of us.
Got the memo.
Like you mentioned, you're like 9 a.m. your time right now. It's a plus 17-hour time difference. So how is Wednesday? What do we got to look forward to for Wednesday? And it's too bad you can't have a beer with James and I here.
And can you get me the lotto numbers for tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly.
Got you, brother. What's today? So today we've got some major works happening at our house. We're getting a retainer wall put in the back, the start of the process. So we have a little, I don't know, man, 1.2 ton Cabelco excavator out in the backyard now, ripping it up. I'll probably throw some videos up of that over the next couple of days on the socials. As far as my day today, man, it's pretty cruisy. I don't have anything too pressing. Just getting this one out of the way and enjoying the conversation, and just probably get to a couple of emails later in the day.
Love it. And for those listening, you heard Scott mention it. So if you go give him a follow on Instagram at Australian Earth Training, there's a couple underscores in there. So it's at Australian_Earth_training. Great follow. If there's one follow you need to jump on, it's Scott's, and go check out his content there. Scott, I want to dive in a little bit as people are listening to the show. Most people probably know who you are. They met you, they follow you. But for those who don't know, you started your business in 2017. Unpack a little bit, if you can, what you do and how we got to this point today.
Yeah, so I'm an operator. That's what I do, right? So I was an operator before I started the biz. In 2017, I spun out of a Caterpillar dealership down here in Australia. I did 7 years with those guys and always wanted to have a crack and, do my own thing. And like any small business, when you first go out there, it's a slow burn. The pipeline's never as full as you want it. So I was moonlighting on a dozer, and then I'd get my opportunity to go and train. So, I was probably getting 3 or 4 or 5 engagements a year. But that was fine. The dozer enabled cash flow, and I was, getting in front of different customers. And then fast forward a couple of years, we sort of just started piecing things together where, we assist a couple of Caterpillar dealerships here in Australia and one over in Africa. And after kind of that, things just started to become a lot more consistent. I've said it a 1,000 times, and plenty of people have said it as well. Like LinkedIn was probably the biggest asset to us early on. Yeah. I could go and do a delivery, or I could go doing a training event, put up a cool picture of somewhere, rather exotic, and people kind of gravitated towards it, and you do find your own little community on those kind of platforms. So now we're not massive by any means, Lukey. We've currently got 4 people working with us. One of the lads that's working with us, he's been with us for a couple of years. He's up to this year, he'd never left Australia. This year he's going to have done 4 trips over to Africa and in different countries, right? So
Wow.
we are starting to get a lot more traction. People are starting to see what we do. Uh, our training is not about us giving you certification to go and operate a piece of kit. What we hang our hat on is proficiency based training. So trying to get more people, trying to get more out of your people, as far as showing them good technique, industry accepted techniques. And a byproduct of that is obviously your asset's going to be able to earn you more, and you'll probably lower your costs, your O&O costs, which is it's pretty significant once you start piecing it all together. So that's kind of where we're at, man. We love the proficiency side of what we do.
How often does that training turn into potentially almost like a sales role as far as technology and different things that are out there where you're coming onto a job site and saying, well, you guys don't have GPS or you don't have this or that, and if you had this, you'd be able to do it 20% faster or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Does that come up a fair bit?
It does, man, because we're lucky enough to get the ear of decision makers. And so sometimes I'll ask the question, or sometimes we'll say to them, hey, have you ever thought about X? And it's not that we have affiliations with anyone. We see it as if our customers can get an advantage through what that might be, it probably puts us in a better light, and it obviously puts our customer in a better light through either more rev, lower cost, whatever it may be. So we do get to have those conversations, James, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah. No, it was just something I was thinking about, because the fact that they're bringing you guys in to do this type of training already shows that they're the type of person that's willing to spend money to find efficiencies and bring money back. There's a lot of business owners you run into, and every time you talk about a technology or something, it's just it's an added cost, Well, yeah, it is an added cost, but what are you getting in return? And so, I just figured that might come up from time to time in your journeys, wherever you're at.
And it does, right? Because it's a long game play. Like, we always our customers that have the most success are the ones that understand and buy into periodic training. I'm not trying to say that we need to be there every second week, not at all. But, adult learning is, you show an individual a technique today, let them sit on it for a month or two or three, come back, and what you generally find is either they're going to have some really cool questions for you, they're going to have some really cool feedback, and other questions are going to come about, what's next. So we don't necessarily go in and throw the kitchen sink at individuals, man, because it's like so bloody overwhelming. And, people only, I don't know what the retention rate is, 10 or 15%, whatever it is, it's small, yeah? So you try and chunk it as best you can. You try and tailor it to the individual that you're talking with, and hopefully we can get a better outcome,
Yeah, Scott, when you started back in 2017, did you expect to travel to other countries? Was that kind of part of your mindset and your game plan, or did you think it would stick within Australia, or how does that part work?
Nah, dude, it was front and center of my head that I needed to be I needed to be global, right? Like,
Nice.
So in Australia, we have we're blessed with a lot of commodities, minerals in the ground, and we think that we're a big player, and we're a sizable contributor to the mining, to the mining world, right? However, the way I looked at it, Luke, was if we have a downturn in whatever commodities, tanking, I needed to have a plan B, and I needed to have a presence elsewhere that potentially my services could be utilized elsewhere when Australia wasn't doing so good. So that's always played a part in my way of thinking, and luckily that we've been able to kick a few goals in some places around the world, and now it just seems it comes across as we're a solution, a viable solution to go to any part and help out, right?
Yeah, and you mentioned it a couple times already, but you mentioned Africa. So how often are you traveling to Africa? And I got to ask too, like, what is their construction like over there? How different is it, or how similar is it maybe than other countries?
Yeah, so we're going to Africa probably every 3 months, 2 to 3 months. Their construction is it's kind of like it was probably 20 or 30 years ago in Oz. Like they're building highways and they're building infrastructure, maybe not at the pace of some developed nations, but they're still laying it down. So GPS, mate, it's probably there in the countries that we travel to. It might be there in a small way. It's not what, again, some of the developed nations have it. But I've been in some countries and driven on some highways, man, that I know that I'd love to see them in some parts of Australia, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not all rubbish, or it's not all broken up what people might think. And again, like same as any country, man, like there's places in Australia that have terrible roads. There's
Mhm.
places in Africa that have terrible roads. But I've also seen the good side of some of the construction throughout the countries that we travel.
Hold on one second there, you dirtbags. Before we dive back into episode 103, I'm going to give a super fast ad read to our sponsors, SludgeHammer. They are this episode's sponsor. We could not have this podcast without them. My only ask, similar to what we've done on the other ones this episode, is to give them a follow on Instagram at SludgeHammer Group Ltd. SLUDGE Hammer Group Ltd. You guys can finish the spelling there. Shoot them a message, let them know you heard them on the podcast. I really want to surprise them with a few extra messages here on this episode. Thank you guys for listening to this worldwide episode of the Dirtbags podcast. We have Scott Lidster from Australia, James Stixma, 2024 guest host of the year for the Dirtbags out in Canada, and myself right here in sunny Arizona in the United States. Let's get you right back to it. Thank you for listening to these ad reads. I sped them up a little bit. Hope you enjoyed them. Let's go. Yeah, when you travel to Africa and all these other countries and continents, how does it work? Because you go to a new country, you probably don't know exactly where you're going or how to get around. Like, do you have a guide that brings you, or do they pick you up, or how does that part work?
Yeah. Yeah, look, mate, that first trip that we do to any country that we go to, and we're getting better at it, right? Because trust is a massive thing. So, and we're going through a new customer in a new country as we speak. So I'm having conversations to say, hey, like, this is what we do. We'll get ourselves to a major port. From there, we really rely on movements and lodgings that you organise, because we don't know the landscape loop. We don't. It's not like you ring 1-800 bloody hotels Ghana and we're good. So again, you free yourself up to trusting people, and up to this point, mate, the people that we work with, the companies that we work with, are hugely respectful. They're conscious of that we're being looked after. So yeah, there's a lot of trust, brother. Honestly, there really is. There really is a lot of trust.
How often do you find that you're ending up in fairly remote areas? Like, are you staying in work camps? Are you having to fly in? I'm assuming at this point, primarily you're working within the mining industry, maybe not exclusively, but primarily. And I know for us in BC, I think a lot of the mines around here are relatively remote.
Yeah. So it can be a combination of everything, right? Like, so I'll give you one example in Liberia, where I flew to Monrovia, and then the next day jumped in the back of a Toyota pickup and we drove 6 hours. I was in the back seat. Man, I was surrounded by luggage and parts and all sorts of stuff. The only thing I wasn't surrounded by was chickens, right? Then there's other times where you're lucky enough to boost in on a plane, a short drive to the mine site, right? Because a lot of the mine sites and our customers, they're multinationals. So not saying that they have magnificent budgets and everything's laid on. However, they've got systems in place, and they've got transport arrangements in place that are appropriate to move us around in a timely and safe manner. Yeah. But a quick story. The guy that I was just talking about that hadn't traveled before, I think it was his second trip away. They were on a coaster bus and they were driving, 4 or 5 hours north to the mine site, and the coaster bus come to a stop on the highway, right on the road. And what it was a bunch of young guys, young teenagers. They put a bunch of timber and leaves and whatever else across the road to stop the traffic. And what they were trying to do is they were trying to be entrepreneurial young lads, trying to
Yeah.
get a bit of coin out of the bus full of people, right? And whoever else had stopped. The bus driver was, smart enough to tell them to piss off. You're not getting anything. And our trainer Greg has just said, mate, these young guys just turned on their heels, got all the stuff off the road, and everyone kept trucking, right? So you
This
have
is the
those
first time I heard
moments where
Robin Hood described as entrepreneurial or any of those Somali pirates. Yeah, they're just entrepreneurs.
Yeah, but look, when that stuff happens, it doesn't really happen in your world anywhere else, right? And again, not that naive to not acknowledge that stuff can go pear-shaped in those countries. Like honestly, it can. There's been plenty of stories where it has done. We've been lucky up to this point, touch wood. We haven't been affected. And when Greg told me that story, I did have a bit of a giggle, because no harm was done, right? But yeah, when you see things like machetes or bush knives are a common thing to see in those lands, right? It's a day-to-day tool that they need. But if you haven't seen an individual getting around with one, man, it puts the wind up you. It's like,
Mhm.
what's going down, right? Um, it's just, yeah, it's just it's an environment that you do become comfortable with. But those first couple of trips, just like, wow, what's going on here?
Yeah. Before 2017, had you traveled the world like you do now, or what was that like?
Uh, I traveled the Pacific a little bit.
Mhm.
I've lived in Canada, like James and I were talking before we started. Lived in Canada throughout my 20s. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
been to the States a few times, like watching Supercross and motocross. Again, through the 90s and whatnot. Um, but yeah, like since Australian Earth has really gained a bit of traction, yeah, travel's just been a part of what we do.
Yeah. And we'll get into this too, I'm sure, but Con Expo, of course, isn't a big, easy show for you to come to, but are you doing any other shows on top of that? Any other trade shows in the US or others that we may be familiar with?
Yeah, so I did. I went over to Boma.
Mm.
I think that was 2022.
Hmm.
That was kind of cool. Like that show is just a behemoth, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Bigger than Con Expo, right? I mean, much,
brother,
it's crazy.
I think there's a number out there, Lukey. I don't know if it's like 4 times as big or 8 times as big, but it's big. It's big.
It's hard to
Like it's
imagine.
yeah, like it's so bloody confusing when you walk those halls, because you think, oh yeah, I haven't been to this hall, and then you'll find, oh yeah, I've seen that though. So like I reckon there'd be months of planning to to
Yeah.
to do it efficiently. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I hear that they have like permanent structures too, just for this
Yeah,
show, isn't? Yeah, I
yeah,
mean it's amazing. We're in Las Vegas, which is also impressive in its own right. They set up and they tear down in a week. I mean, it's
yeah.
unbelievable.
I got told, bro, that Lee Bear have a permanent structure at those grounds, and it is mighty impressive. The Lee
Wow.
Bear stand, like it's way cool. Yeah,
Yeah, I tried to get out there this year, just missed it. We were gonna try and table it with our trip when we were in Germany, but that
yeah.
got pushed back. I think just a month or two. So, yeah, but hopefully, I believe that's an every year show.
I think it's a 3-year show
I
as
want to
well.
say
Oh,
two,
it is.
three.
I
It is
think it's a
every.
Yeah,
3-year show. I think it's
yeah,
usually the year before Con Expo.
Oh,
correct. And
well,
there's one that I'd like to take in, man. It is Boma, China, or China Boma, whatever. I'd like to
yeah.
go to that.
And I'm assuming, is that owned by the same company or
I'll assume too, bro. I don't know.
yeah. This is not factual information that we're spitting here, so don't hold us to it. We're just guessing. And if anyone knows, just let us know in the in our DMs.
I do think it is the same people at AEM that runs that one, don't they? Balma?
See, like I said, I can't confirm.
All right.
With hands up here.
James is our fact checking guy.
Yeah, I'll do some research while you guys talk.
Love it.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, there's so much to dive into, Scott, and I can't thank you enough for being on the show. As we're kind of talking about ConExpo and Bauma, are you planning on coming to this new ConExpo 2026 in March, or what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, look, mate, I reckon I'm 95% there. Like talking with a few of the Canadian brethren and a few American friends, we're putting in some legwork behind the scenes. And like I say, dude, falling short of a catastrophic something next year, I reckon I'm going to be in Vegas next year. Because it was a cool time, man. It was good.
Yeah, it reminded me. Had you been to the 2020 ConExpo?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't, mate. I've never been to ConEx outside of 23, I think it was. So, it's obviously it's been something that I've always wanted to go to throughout my operating career and whatnot. So to be lucky enough to get over there and to bump into people like yourself and everyone else that was over there and to play a small part in that show was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's so cool to get to meet you there in person, because we had been following each other. And of course, another huge shout out to LinkedIn. I mean, we always preach it on this show. Hey, if you're not on LinkedIn, you're listening to the show, create an account, go follow James, myself, and Scott, and start to engage there, and you'll thank us later. But we got to meet in person, and you were my favorite person besides before meeting you. And then we got to meet and hang out for a little bit, and it was just such a blast. You got to speak. I was there with Luke Payne, of course, and you got to speak on a panel with Luke, and it was just unbelievable. So what was walk me through that? Like, how was it? I mean, you got to go to the show for the first time. You got to speak there. I'm sure you did tons of networking. Was it overwhelming, or was it just the right amount? Or
I don't know if it was overwhelming, right? I think the enthusiasm to chance meet people was next level. When I was with Luke on that set there with Thomas Horn and Chris Harrington, that was one of those that was a pinch me moment, right? Like, Australian Earth, it's a little, like, we're little in comparison to whatever else is out there, and I just felt so appreciative to get the opportunity to speak. And then, you're hanging out with quality individuals, like Lukey Payne. Like, he's such an impressive guy.
He's amazing.
Like, on so many fronts. He's a lovely individual. He's done some really cool stuff in his business world. So, to hang out with people like that, you just feels like they're super blessed, man, And, again, it's been said before that all the cool machinery, all the cool tech that we get to see at those shows is a small element to bumping into people that you've engaged with on some kind of platform or, direct messaging, whatever it may be. Because I don't think I've met a wanker in person. You know what I mean? Like, everyone has just been legit people and like-minded individuals. So, yeah, again, mate, feel really lucky that, you can front up at those kinds of shows.
Yeah, Luke and I did that out in Indianapolis early this year for one of the Septic shows.
Oh, yeah.
As one of my favorite parts is just getting to connect with other business owners that are doing the same thing you are, but in a different area. Because, some people are a little secretive. They want to keep their cards to their vest. They don't want to show everybody how they do their work. But if you're really worried about that, then go out to one of these events and find some people that are from a different part of the world than you and compare notes with them then, because it's really cool. I mean, I've said it a million times, a smart man learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from another man's mistakes. So helping each other try and avoid those pitfalls, those landmines that, we just don't know they're there. If you're willing to have an open conversation with people, you can save yourself a lot of pain for sure.
Oh, and you're dead right, man. Like, again, as small business owners, I think we've got a lot of shoulders that we can lean on, right? And it's not to say you're right. You're not giving away the secret sauce or anything like that.
Yeah.
But man, I don't have an issue reaching out to some of my peers. And when I say my peers, dude, I know people that I've met in the last 12, 18 months that like they're just phenomenal to bounce stuff off around business because I struggle calling myself a business person because all I know, man, is I just got to work every other day, right? Like the back of office, I'm not across. You know what I mean? I don't pretend to be across. So when I have a question or something's come up in my world that I don't know, dude, I've got people I can reach out to with confidence, and they can explain to me at a level that I can consume. And for that, again, like I just feel stoked that I've got people in me circle that I can do that, right? And again, largely people like a lot of those people I've met in the last handful of years,
Hmm.
but they're still open to help. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so many of the connections that so many of my what I would consider lifelong friends I've met in the last few years, and a lot
Yeah.
of them through business as well. And because and I love a lot of my friends that aren't in business, but when they're in business as well, like they understand your roller coaster that you
Oh
go
yeah.
through, the ups and the downs, and it really helps to have that perspective as well to go through it with them. And I know even James and I, we've gone through a lot the last few years, but it's been so cool to see how much we've grown together, but also a lot of the things that we can now laugh at of like how dumb or how bad was that time. And so it's it's just really cool. Like sometimes even back then we took it so much more seriously. And now
Yeah.
you're just like, man, why did I let that stress me out back then? And it gives you a new perspective of business when you go through some bad shit.
Oh yeah.
No, dude, I could not agree more, man. Like, and I guess um, there's something that I can drop on the podcast here. I used to own a dozer
Hmm.
because I sold it like 3 or 4 weeks ago, right? And the dozer, it was a time sapping machine mentally and physically in the end, right? And that was the catalyst for me selling it. But I know, Luke, to your point, I know some of the learnings and some of the resilience that owning that thing has given me in the past 3 years. It's crazy, man. Like there was stuff early on in the piece of owning a bulldozer that something had happened and it nearly crippled me. You know what I mean? Like trying to think, oh, I've got to replace this or I've got to replace that. So you learn all these other strategies. And again, mate, I had a really unreal circle of people that I could lean on from a technical perspective, from a business perspective, or just from an emotional perspective to help me get through that. But the resilience thing is a muscle. And I'm not saying that none of us are Superman. We have struggles. We get bent out of shape. We have those moments. But the learnings that I've gotten out of that period is massive, man. And it's only going to put me in good stead for future opportunities.
Yeah, we are solution-based problem solvers as entrepreneurs, or we should be at least. Of every day, there should be problems we're trying to fix, and
Yeah.
the more we do that, and the more we expect that, the easier those problems become, I would say.
Yeah.
And if we expect to be in business and not have any problems, you're not going to have a business for long, I don't think. And
Yeah.
it's or you might not have the growth that is in your potential. And so I love that aspect of failing forward and just failing to then take a step back and take two steps forward. And you need to go through those learning moments. And I'm young. I mean, I'm 30 years old. I've only been doing
Yeah.
business for 6 years, and it's so much more to learn as well. But that's like the part that I enjoy so much is the learning aspect of it. And whether we grew up in business or whether this is, James, I think you're 9 years in.
Yeah, we're going on 9 years now.
Scott, you're 8 years into
Yeah.
earth training, and I'm 6 years. And it's just like you want to keep doing this for a very long time and build a generational business that lasts much longer than us. So
Yeah. And look, mate, the fact that you're 30, James, I'm going to say you're a similar age, right? I'm
Ah, I
a bit
wish.
in a, yeah.
40
That's what
now.
I thought.
Just turned 40.
Oh, dude. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but you're in your early 30s when you pulled on what you pulled on, right?
Yep.
Like in a couple of months, man, I'm 50. So when I was in my 20s, yeah, I thought about starting a business. Did I ever pull it on? No way in the world. So again, the courage that any young person has to even think about it, let alone walk towards starting a business, brother.
Mhm.
Man, I got massive props for those individuals, regardless of industry or anything, because it
Yeah.
is not for the faint-hearted. So dead set, tip of the hat to both of you, but both of you fellas for pulling it on and being successful at what you're doing.
Well, amen. Right back at you there, sir. It's couldn't have said it any better. It's certainly not for the faint of heart, but
No.
I wouldn't trade it for the world. And most business owners you talk to will tell you the same thing.
All right, you dirtbags. I know you are loving this episode 103 with the man himself, Scott Lidster, and of course, our 2024 Dirtbags Guest Host of the Year, James Stixma at Canadian Septic. But you know that this show cannot go on without at least a quick introduction to our sponsors. I'm going to do these a little quicker this episode so we can get right back to it, and then we'll go back to our regular scheduled programming. So huge shout out, as you guys know, to Charlie Huff. If you guys are looking for any type of new insurance or somebody to be in your corner, give our guy Charlie Huff a text or a call right now. We'll pause the episode, give him a call, give him a text. His phone number is 435-764-4833. Charlie only works with construction companies. He works with a lot of the dirtbags listening, and he also works with our company, Phaser Marketing. He is the man. Shoot him a text, give him a call, and let him know, of course, that you heard him on the Dirtbags podcast. That was a record time. Let's get back to it. Episode 103 with Scott Lidster himself.
You quit your 9 to 5 for a 7 to 7 or 7 to 9, right? Like, yeah, just so you can work for yourself, right?
Yeah.
The luxury, right?
Exactly. And I'll say something too on that. I know it comes up a lot where other people might say, the younger generation doesn't want to work. And I mean, 18-year-old to 25-year-olds, but I don't know. Like we even through this podcast, we see so many studs and studettes that are absolutely crushing it that aren't even in their 20s yet. And it gives me a lot of perspective, and I wouldn't even say hope, but just like different perspective of, you can't just generalize an entire generation without even seeing the good parts of it. But Scott, I'm sure you've had people reach out to you as well that are just crushing it, but are seeking advice and seeking education and trying to better themselves as entrepreneurs, and just like figuring it out. And as you mentioned, just giving it a crack and like, hey, I might not succeed at this, but I want to give this a crack, especially as I'm young. And what a perfect time to do it. Of course I wish I would have started 10 years earlier, but didn't have that. So for everyone listening that is 18 years old to 30 years old or any age, I mean, there's a great time to start at least trying. And obviously each situation is different. You shouldn't quit your job if you have 5 kids and your wife stays at home and then give up everything. I think there's certain ways you can do it.
Then you buy a business.
And
that was basically me. 4 kids.
4 kids.
One was one at the
4 kids, man.
Buy the business. Oh yeah.
No TV, James. What's the go?
No TV. Yeah, no, it's broke. It got broke a few times. It works now. Haven't had any for a while.
Yeah, and James, I would even love to touch on that, man, because it's like, how did you make that decision? I know we talked about it before, but with 4 kids to buy a business, was that part of the decision making instead of starting from scratch to buy, to have maybe a couple steps into it?
Yeah, I think without it being necessarily a conscious part of the decision-making process, it was, in the sense that for me, I knew that there was a business in place that had phone calls coming in. The leads were coming. I knew how to sell. I just had to figure out how to sell shit. And
number one and number 2 business.
Yeah, exactly.
And I want one of those shirts when I get made too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, right?
I sell shit.
Yeah, exactly. we're allowed to say that word around the dinner table in our house because that's what puts the food on the table. So, but yeah, no, I mean, it was a big part of it for me, right? Like I had a well-paying sales job that was corporate sales. It was starting to go down. Like we were starting to see a reduction in commissions and clawbacks, this, that, and the next thing. And so I was trying to find something that was ready to go. Granted, remortgage the house and take that money out to buy the business. I personally felt a lot more comfortable doing that into something that was a little more proven than, hey, I'm going into a new industry I have no idea anything about. Plus, I want to start from scratch. That didn't make sense for me. Whereas if you're already in that industry, to start from scratch, we talked about this last time I was on the podcast. You can hire people to make the phone ring. You can dump some money into Google AdWords or whatever makes sense now. But I was coming in at it, never in the industry. And so it just made the most sense for us and our family at that point in time to it was a risk, but I felt it was a little less risky than trying to start something new.
Yeah. And also too, for people listening, and James has talked about it a little bit before, but the due diligence that you tackle in that process, like you didn't just call up the first company that was for sale and jump into it. I mean, you have to go through it with a fine tooth comb because this is going to be your livelihood and this is going to put food on the table. And it wasn't just septic companies you were looking at. I mean, you were looking at all kind of companies. And I think that's the due diligence that people should have with their own business, but also, of course, if you're going to purchase a business, it's probably one of the most expensive purchases you'll make.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's my role as a salesperson trying to help businesses improve how they do things, similar to what Scott does on the training side. I was in the mobility and wireless forms and things like that to try and help people become more efficient in their own business. And so that whole discovery process that I would work with business owners to try and figure out how to run more efficiently, I basically ran that through the whole interview process when it came time to purchase the business. Why do you do this? How do you do this? How come you're doing it that way and not this way? And then analyze it and see, okay, is there some room for growth here? Is there a way to do this better than it was being done before? And like I said before, I came from a completely different world. I had a different mindset coming into it, and I didn't know the way it had always been done before. So come at it with a bit of a different approach.
Yeah, cool. Like, I guess, Luke, you said something there before about the current generation, right? I'll let you in on a secret, man. When I started working, first job out of school, I was strapping horses, like standard bred horses, paces, trotters, right? And then my brother got me a job working for a pipe layer on a subdivision, and it was my job to go and grout in between each pipe. And be fair to say that I wasn't a real good grouter, and it'd be fair to say that I wasn't that motivated to be in a pipe grouting these pipes up, right? So my boss had to give me a talking to one day to go, man, you need to pick your shit up or we're going to move you along. So, the youth of today get tarred with this brush of they're lazy, they're this and they're that. And I don't believe it broadly. I've got 3 daughters, mate. Of our 3 daughters, 2 have 2 jobs. One's going to university. The other one's got a couple of jobs, and we've got one that's in school and she's got a job. So I see in my own world that there is good traits that, they're putting in. So I don't buy into this generation is, lazy across the board, man.
Yeah. And I tell you what, and I'm not attacking any generations, but you can find lazy people in every single generation.
Oh, yeah.
Like, do you think that my old pipeline boss, do you reckon he reeled out of that conversation going, geez, the youth of today we're in good hands? He would have been saying, man, these kids today are lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
I probably was. Sure. I definitely didn't like the job.
Nothing new under the sun, man. It's same old story. It's tale as old as time. It's always going to repeat. our kids will be saying about their next generation as well.
Of course, mate. Of course. And another thing too, I kind of gauge it by is the amount of DMs I get from young people, you know, getting into the industry and what's the best way to get in, what's the best way to do a technique. And again, man, I don't pretend to have all the answers around machine technique. There's way better operators out there in the world than myself. However, the fact that people are reaching out and asking questions, man, that's cool, you know? That's cool.
Yeah, I love that. And we always promote that on the show too, is like anytime we have a guest on, we obviously drop your Instagram handle and your LinkedIn handle. It's like, hey, reach out if you have any questions, if anyone's listening and you just even want to let them know that you listened to this episode. Like everyone appreciates it and we're all willing to help as well. And I didn't mention it earlier, but for people listening, James as well at Canadian Septic, he's always down to help out. And then of course, Scott with at Australian Earth Training, or most importantly, LinkedIn, because you're absolutely crushing the game. And just shoot him a message, let him know that you heard the episode. But if you have any questions, just throw it over to either of them and myself. Scott, I got to ask. A bird told me about I got to ask you about the story. You're running a 657 scraper, something happens, like walk me through that. You're with your brother. Paint the picture for me, because they said you gotta ask about this story. What do we got here? What's with the scraper and what happened?
So I'm still getting therapy. This happened, brother, 30 years ago.
Oh no.
So, you know, as you progress through the working world, the life, whatever, you know, you get all these little milestones, and I finally got to operate a 657 scraper, which are the big dogs in our world, right?
Yeah.
And my teacher was my older brother, who had been running one for, I don't know, probably 12 or 18 months. So he was way more advanced than me, and, you know, the operating of the scraper and, you know, push, pull and the whole gamut. So back in the day, if you had to go to the toilet, the most appropriate place to go was in the bowl of your scraper, right? So you'd literally pull off the circuit. You know, everyone else should have kept lapping around. You go in the bowl, do your business, and away you go. So I had that moment where I needed to, you know, nature called, got in the bowl, backed myself into the corner and going through the motions, and I could hear this machine in the distance getting closer and closer and closer. And what it was my brother. He thought it'd be really funny because 657s, they push-pull, right?
Yeah.
Through when they're loading each other, yeah? So he thought it'd be really funny if he'd come in behind me and start to push me as my pants are around my ankles and as I'm going through the motions of doing what I was doing, and I had dirt coming at me, Luke. And I can tell you, man, you don't know what to grab and you don't know where to go when you're in a very vulnerable state of, pants around ankles and your scraper's moving and there's dirt coming at you, dude. I'll tell you.
You know what?
Yeah,
your brother was right.
An older
That is a good
brother
idea.
playing on a younger brother. So,
Have you ever forgiven him for that?
no, I haven't, mate. Yeah, I've never spoken to him since.
But more importantly, have you gotten even with him yet?
I probably have, man. I probably have. But, you know, it's an economy you never win, James, you're right? Because around the corner's a square up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, I still remember, you know, him driving past and he was absolutely losing his shit just as I was, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, amazing.
As you literally were.
Yeah, but nah, look, man, plenty of those funny little stories that we gather along the way, right? So,
man, that's what it's all about, picking on your little brother.
Yeah, correct. I don't know how that'd go in today's world of a safety share, but anyway,
yeah,
we're able to get
As long
away
as
with it.
you just don't post it to Instagram, you're fine.
Yeah, I don't know if that's in the training program you've got
that's
there.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's one of those unwritten rules, but definitely spoken.
Yeah.
Love it. So, Scott, I know if somebody were to jump on your website right now, they would probably see you do training services, consulting
Yep.
services and e-learning. What would be the differences between those, or do those kind of all go together, like hand in hand?
Yeah, it depends where you are in the cycle, right? We also do like training, material development, and help them
Mhm.
out with process and whatnot. So, you know, if you want something that your operators can get to easily enough, you can set up something online there, and then the consulting side of it is more around, like we're going to do a job in a couple of weeks where we're going to provide feedback on a dozer push
Hmm.
to see if bigger dozer versus smaller dozer, if it's going to be a viable option. So that's on the consultant side of it.
Yep.
And then obviously on the operator training, well, that's just, boots on the ground and depending on where individuals are at too. Like we can do clean skin training or green skin or however you want to refer to it as. So we do offer a variety of solutions in that face-to-face training.
Yeah.
But where we excel at is in that proficiency based stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah. And are you typically working, who would be your main point of contact usually when somebody reaches out and you go work with a new client? Who would that be in the company?
Myself, yeah.
Okay, but on their side,
On their side, oh sorry, man. Oh man, it can be anything from directors
mhm,
like for a multinational to a mum and dad earth
yeah,
moving company. Like seriously. Like, oh, again, I'm not trying to, talk up the situation, but last week, man, I was talking to a director of a probably top five copper producer in the world. He's based in London. They want to do some stuff, and it was an initial conversation. Like, by no means have we stitched anything up.
yeah,
However, the people that reach out, Luke, is quite amazing. You know what I mean? And probably a younger version of myself would have been pretty gobsmacked or awestruck, or I can't remember. I don't know the word to use, right? But
yeah,
when you strip it back and they're human and they're good humans, they've just got a problem that they need a solution for. Um, yeah, but it can be wide and varied, man.
yeah. It's interesting you say that. I've been thinking about that a lot with business and emotions. And I think, and I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I think the less emotional you are with business and especially with business finances, typically the better, or maybe that maturation process happens. And so, like you mentioned, maybe normally you'd be starstruck or awestruck with these
Yeah,
people that are reaching out to you, but really they're just people at the end of the day, and you have value that you can add to them. And I think sometimes we can put people or things up on a pedestal, or new clients, or all these things, and we can start to idolize them when really it should just be another day in business. And I don't know, I think sometimes that maybe can be misconstrued, but I think sometimes taking the emotion out of business can be a good thing as well.
I think you are bang on because I used to think that I couldn't have a conversation with that individual because they're a business person and
Sure.
they operate at a different level. And don't get me wrong, man, some people do or some people think they do. Um, but to do exactly what you just said is the best approach. And for me, it took a little while to become comfortable in those conversations, right?
Hmm.
But honestly, mate, I don't, again, I think you feed off the individual that you're talking with.
Yeah.
And again, if they come across as a wanker for whatever reason, that's a them thing. But I used to have the mindset of going into a conversation like, oh, I don't like it's like that imposter syndrome, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
weird, dude. It's weird, but once you push on from that, it's easy. It's
I,
a good conversation.
I think so much of it stems from that, the imposter syndrome of, just this emotional roller coaster you can go on of the best day ever, then the worst day the next
Oh,
day. And I, it's my opinion too. We should try and flatten that line a little bit
yes.
where it's like, hey, we're just here to add value. I'm just a person. You're just a person. And however, you can add a lot of that positive energy and respect when you talk to these people, because it's not like you're trying to be a robot and no emotions, but just really being yourself with this person and not trying to put on a different face or try and be somebody else, or really trying to impress them with something that you're not.
I think, again, mate, you're spot on with that, maintaining a consistency, because, we all have wins early on that just blow our minds. And not saying don't recognize it, but you do, eventually you do get to that point, man, where you just go, yep, acknowledge it and try and maintain it. Because obviously, we have these massive highs in our own little worlds. And then for whatever reason, we're going to have a low, and it can be, it can be a little bit crippling for a little while. So to try and maintain a consistent approach, that's where I'm at, man. That's a believer of that.
And that's where being in those rooms with people that are, above you, in business or whatever it might be, that it may be uncomfortable at first, but if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Like you need to have some people to help challenge you and push you forward, because if you're the smartest person in the room, you're not going to learn anything in that situation. So continue to surround yourselves with people that are better than yourself, or you feel they're better than yourself, or have more experience. It's not a bad place to be. Like I said, like you've pointed out, it may be uncomfortable at first, but once you get used to it, like you're in such a better place for it.
All right, you dirtbags, we have another sped up ad read here, because we need to give a quick shout out to our episode sponsor, Eljen Corporation. You've heard me talk about them a lot before, and we'll get you back to the episode in about 15 seconds here. Go give Eljen a follow on Instagram. That's all I'm asking for this ad read. At Eljen Corporation, ELJEN Corporation. I think you guys know how to spell that. Go give them a follow, shoot them a message, let them know you heard them on the Dirtbags podcast. Appreciate you guys a ton. Thank you for always jumping in on these. And let's get you right back to the episode with Scott Lidster and James Stixma. Let's do it.
Yeah, man, 100%. I was lucky enough last year to meet one of the richest businessmen in Australia, a bloke called Mark Boris. And as I was driving, it was a weekend down at his place. It was this winning the room was what the event was called. And although Mark wasn't a facilitator, I was at his farm and he gave us a lot of his time. And as I was driving down on the Friday afternoon, I was thinking, geez, I hope this guy's not a dick. You know what I mean? Like, because I really rate the guy, like from afar, listen to his podcast, blah, blah, blah. And fair dinkum, man, he is like one of the nicest dudes that give so much more of his time. Like on the Sunday, we had to pitch to the guy, right? And he'd give us, I'd say 5 hours.
Wow.
And like, be fair to say, some of our pitches weren't on point. But mate, he was invested in us. He didn't look like he was bored. He gave everyone cool, constructive criticism. Feedback, not criticism. And I just thought to myself, man, like if that guy, like I don't know what he's worth, but massively successful dude, but still a fantastic human. Like, so again, I used to go into conversations, not that I was having a one-on-one talking business with Mark Boris, but I used to go into conversations with superintendents going, oh shit, I'm above my head here. But then you start listening to them, and then you start finding out they've got a problem that sits in your wheelhouse. Then you just start communicating, and it takes away this level thing that some of us have in our heads. So,
yeah, and I think this goes back to, we'll get into book recommendations later in the show too, but I got to throw out one, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. One of the best things you can do in networking situations is be authentically curious and ask questions. And typically the best listener and the person that is asking the most engaging questions about somebody else's passions, about somebody else, like what fires them up, usually there's a draw to that person. And Scott, even to your story there, I did hear a story as well of very similar. This guy was meeting up with one of the most successful billionaires and is really nervous. He's like trying to figure out what questions he should ask this billionaire and what the conversation was going to be like, what's the one piece of advice, all of these things. But what he found was, this very successful billionaire came with a notebook and was asking all the questions. And you couldn't even know that this person had billions of dollars because he was asking questions to this other person. And it was just a really cool perspective to have of that's probably how he became so successful, is because he was so curious with others and asking all of these questions and really just unpacking other people's businesses and what makes other people tick. And I think that's in any business of any size, of any success, being a great relationship builder, or just having that respect for other people and giving them the time of day if you can in a conversation. I think we've all had those conversations where people are distracted and you can tell they don't want anything to do with you, and vice versa. You've had those where they're so engaged in asking the right questions and looking you in the eye, shaking your hand, and giving you the time of day, even if it's a few minutes.
Makes a difference, eh?
Yeah, it does.
Seriously, makes a massive difference, man. People elevate.
Absolutely. What would you say if you could go back to 8 years ago, Scott, and give him a piece of advice of something that you learned now? What would you tell him, whether it's business or life advice? If you could go back to 2017, what would you say?
I had a lot of belief. So that was never my problem. It was sometimes you sort of second guess, the way you price yourself, and being a little bit more, not aggressive, but just, knowing your own self-worth. You know what I mean? Like, you gather this knowledge over the years, Luke, and it doesn't come easy and it doesn't come free. You know what I mean? So probably really, really trust in your own self-worth would be probably the biggest thing. And even today, like, we still get, not everyone, as I say, man, not everyone's going to be your customer, for whatever reason. But
you
knowing
don't want
that
them to be.
What's that, James?
I was going to say, yeah, there's a lot of them you don't want to be your customer. A lot of them
that's right.
aren't your customer.
Yeah, man, and that's totally cool. That's totally cool, right? I don't know, man. Like, I think I never set out to start an all-conquering global behemoth in training. I just started out because I wanted to scratch an itch, and I seen a bit of a fit in the market, and now what it's become is kind of what it's becoming.
Yeah.
I appreciate every step. Well, we haven't grown dramatically fast. We've sort of just crept up, and it feels right. I'm starting to get into more systems. Like this year, I haven't traveled. I think I've done 4 training sessions this year. I haven't gone out of Australia, but I've just been focusing on the business a lot more. So it's just trying to get a few more little systems in behind, trying to bring ourselves to the party in a little bit better fashion, mate.
Yeah. And I'm curious on that. We talk about systems a lot on here, and sometimes we breeze right over it. We're like, yeah, build systems and SOPs. But I'm curious to hear, like, present day or this year, what does that mean for you guys? Like, what type of systems are you building into your business, especially as you're working on your business?
Yeah, so moving into onboarding, like how we bring a new trainer on, like capturing their skill set, if there's a fit for for what we're doing, making that process a little bit easier, a little bit better. And I'm not saying we're perfect at it yet, mate, not at all. With the amount of travel that we do overseas, like getting a travel policy put together, because again, like when it was just myself, you sort of, you're comfortable with doing, what you do because it only affects you, right? Whereas now we've got other people that represent us, traveling to some uncomfortable places at times. So we need to have better, systems around that on how we stay in contact with them, as best we can. So we're working through that now, like, honestly, man, I'm starting at the base of systems, and real lucky that we've got a lady in our world that's helping us out with that. So we're slowly cobbling them together. To eventually, like, SharePoint's probably been superseded 1,000 times, right? But that's what we want to get to, a central point where new employees can come on, log on, get all the information that they need. It's communication purposes. Because me trying to keep everything in my head and trying to, stay on top of stuff, it's not 100%.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
Because I
shit
was
falls
gonna,
out of there from time to time.
yeah. I mean, I was going to ask you too because you said you've been growing slowly over this time. Like, has that been a conscious choice on your part? Like, are you turning away work that you could be doing? Are you growing as fast as you get new employees? Are you hiring employees as you need them? Like, what's
Yeah,
that sort of journey been like?
yeah. Look, man, for us, it's been opportunities. So, um, the Chris Nolan's the longest guy that's been with us, and Chris used to be my manager at a Caterpillar dealership. Great guy, phenomenal trainer, knows his shit. So an opportunity came along to assist a Caterpillar dealership down in Australia, where I was doing a lot of the training, and there was a need for probably one more person. So that need obviously was, I reached out to Chris, and Chris was good enough to come on board and help us out, and has done ever since. And then, we started doing, working with another company that required, a person for a couple of weeks a month. And then that turned into two people. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just as it comes in, James, as it comes in. And it just seems to be, it's slowly becoming more, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Hence the
awesome.
reason Yeah, hence the reason that I thought, if it does continue to, if we do continue to increase, we need to have something in behind us that, people can at least latch onto to understand what we do, how we do it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Does most of the connections happen through LinkedIn? Is that typically the main platform people are finding you, or where does it transpire?
Yeah, look, dude, definitely the overseas stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Like I've been hitting the LinkedIn thing for probably, I'm gonna say 2013. I really started
Hmm.
to hit it because the company I was working for what like wages as an employee, there was a little bit of uncertainty around. There was some redundancies, blah blah blah. And I said to one of my good mates at the time, I said, "Man, I need to try and create a presence."
Hmm.
And for whatever that whatever that means or whatever
Yeah.
reason, and Anton goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. He said, mate, get on LinkedIn. And I just went, yeah, okay. Again, I'd go out and deliver a machine, put a picture up, put a blurb on it, and again, it just started to resonate. So a lot of the cool ones come through LinkedIn.
Hmm.
Instagram is probably it's not a rev maker, and I
Yeah.
don't need it to be per se. Instagram for me was trying to get in the mind's eye of the next generation of decision makers. So young cats
Mhm.
like you fellas, you know what I mean? Facebook is just an absolute dog of a platform.
I agree.
For whatever reason, the meta algorithm, because what I used to do is just upload into Insta, and Insta would just do it to Facebook, right?
Yeah.
About 12 months ago, it had a moment where it started updating all my personal stuff, and so now Facebook, we have a presence, but it's not active. It's a
Yeah.
shit platform, shit people
Yeah.
generally.
It's kind of a cesspool of
Ugh.
people congregating there. And that's why I just push people to LinkedIn. Like if you want to scroll or you
Yeah.
want to, people are a lot more serious there. They want to learn. They're educated. No
Yeah.
offense to anyone, but it's yeah. And then Instagram's kind of a good in between. Like I think there's a lot of contractors on there that are just
Yeah.
looking at stories and engaging with each other. So I would agree with you, Scott. I think Instagram is a really great peer-to-peer networking
Yeah.
platform, especially for the dirt world. And then LinkedIn, also that, but I would say fewer engagements, right? So Instagram's nice because I mean we'll swipe up in people's stories all the time, and Canadian Septic will see a story every day, and we'll tell James what we're thinking. LinkedIn, it's more. That's where I like to put out more well thought out posts, and
Of course.
if anyone's also thinking what should they post on LinkedIn, I always just say nerd out about what you know. So whether that's business, training, sports, like anything, just nerd out about what you know and what you care about. And somebody will be attracted to that because really you're a thought leader on the platform. And the nice thing with LinkedIn is that there are way more consumers than producers. And it's one of the only platforms where that's the case. Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, there are more producers than consumers. And then LinkedIn is the rare one where that's flipped. And so most people are just lurking at, in the distance, looking at your posts, seeing everything, but they're not producing content. So there's a great opportunity to build a great online presence on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Agreed.
I think my experience has been, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, the consistent message helps, like I've never gone for the, the wow factor around controversial. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just not my shtick. But the decision makers that will tap into that platform, dude, is unreal.
Yeah.
They do a Google search on your bloody name and, you come up, and that's how they find out that, the person in behind the person is actually, valid and whatever else, right? So, yeah, we've had some tremendous success on the back of LinkedIn.
Yeah. And I don't even, like, when we're hiring too, I don't even look at resumes anymore. We just take a look at their LinkedIn profile, and it's just so much easier. I can see some photos. I can see their work experience. It's the resume, but much easier to see. And
it's portfolio,
exactly.
Like for me, that's what it's always been for Instagram and LinkedIn. You're right. LinkedIn, there's a lot more business to business. But it's the same way. I've sat through a couple of your presentations, Luke, where you talk about your website. Your website is basically that thing that people can go to look to when they're trying to make a decision. It's not going to bring everybody there, but it's a part of it. And so that's the way I've always treated Instagram as well. We've run into homeowners that treat me like they know me and going like, have we met? And like, no, but like I followed you and we want you to do the work. So you can get some eyeballs in front from the consumer side. And once you've posted it there, it's there. And, you want to have more than just Instagram in case, tomorrow, somebody decides that we can't have Instagram anymore. So have multiple options, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, but it gives that credibility. Like when you go to look at my account and I've got, 7-8 years worth of posts, like I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not that fly by night contractor. Like it just gives, as silly as it sounds, it gives a little bit more credibility to your business and yourself that you know what you're talking about and you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
That's a great point, dude. Great point.
Huge thing to bring up there too. It's completely free. Like what a rare tool that we get to use that's completely free. And I mean, Scott, that's how you and I are sitting here right now in this podcast. And James, that's how you and I are sitting here right now. All three of us. I mean, it is from these free platforms that we've just been working on building up a presence with. And it can be so valuable. And I think kind of last point on that, it can be so valuable, not just to bring in work and clients. I think if you think that narrowly, you're not going to see success with it, but think broader network, like, hey, you never know who I'm going to meet in whatever industry. And just putting it out there, I think is invaluable.
I think too, brother, is, you'll create your own little community, but you can't be passive. Like, and again, you don't got to be OTT with posting every day, none of that business, but you put in, you'll get out.
Yeah.
So can I pose a question to both of you gents?
All right.
So I struggle, we've got a website, right? Which, most businesses have, I guess, but I really struggle with the concept of a website because I can't tell you if it's actually won us any work. It's validated us for when we're being vendor onboarded with, certain companies. I've probably spent around 30 grand over 8 years. But websites, what value do they provide your businesses?
James, I'll let you start before I.
You let me start? Okay, cool. All right. Well, so it can be tricky, right? Like it's hard to put a number on paper, have a tangible ROI on your website. And so there's a bunch of things you can do. You can set up the metrics. You can see how often people are visiting. It can be tough. I just pulled the trigger not that long ago to switch our website services over to Luke and the folks over at Phaser, because I wanted to invest in our marketing and our business and not just sit back and accept that things are just going to continue to go the way they have been ever since I started. I mean, I've been through, this is my 4th website iteration. And, one of the things that I was most worried about or most concerned about is, what's happening with AI and some of these new, ChatGPT. I do it all the time myself now, and I know I'm not the only one. I'm usually a little bit out in front of it. It's not a brag. It's the way I am. But I use ChatGPT for recommendations on stuff all the time now. Mm-hmm. I don't even bother with Google anymore because I still have to filter through all the results at the end of the day. Whereas,
yeah, correct.
Right. And even Google is doing it now. They've got their clickless search results. And so how do I make sure that I'm in front of people when ChatGPT or Google, what's the new one from Google called, Luke?
The AI overview?
Yeah, Gemini, all that stuff. Like, how do I make sure I'm there? Because I gotta think ahead, and I know Luke and his company is doing that sort of stuff. So I know enough to be dangerous, but you get into AI now, I haven't got an idea. I don't know what I got to do. You can read some books, but it's going to take some effort from somebody on the back end. So I think the websites before used to be more about, showcasing, but now you've got the social media platforms that you can do that on, right? Yeah. So, I mean, that's it for me. I finally am put my big boy pants on and spending money on my website, because I never did before. Like, I haven't spent a dime on advertising or anything. If someone would build my website, I'd pay the hosting, and that was about it. But that's the main reason we started looking into it now, and have Luke on board and are excited with what they're doing.
Okay, you dirtbags. Quick second, the last ad read of this entire episode. I think we broke a record with how long this episode was, even with our super, super fast, short ad reads. Hope you guys loved it so far. Got to give a shout out to our own company, Phaser Marketing. Thank you guys for reaching out. We work with 6-figure, 7-figure, and 8-figure excavation companies and help bring their online presence to that next level. Within excavation, we have 3 divisions: excavation, septic, and hardscaping. We have about 80 clients across North America. We take their online presence to that next level. Feel free to shoot me a text, 218-234-7345, if you'd like to hear more about our services. I'm going to say it right now. For October, we're going to give you $1,000 off the startup fee if you mention the podcast. This deal is only going to work if you hear this last ad read at the end of this episode. If you book a call with Joe from our team, just let him know, hey, Luke said he'd give me $1,000 off the startup fee, and he'll take care of it from there. I would recommend our phase 1 program. If you're going to start in October here, it's basically $1,900 a month, and you get our entire team, 21 full-time team members that have a roadmap that's already built out for your company. We take over everything for you. And also, we can speak the language. We only work with excavation companies, and we only work in North America. So shoot me a text. I'll get you set up with Joe, get you a time and date set up. And then don't forget to mention the $1,000 off. 218-234-7345. That's my personal cell number. Excited to talk with you and excited to get you connected with our team at Phaser Marketing to take your business to the next level. Back to the last part, the best part of this episode. Number 103, Scott Lidster, James Stixma, Luke Eggbeater. Let's go.
So be fair to say that you see value in it, and, it will provide value moving forward.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, again, I haven't done it to this point. Like I haven't
Yeah.
spent anything, but I know it's different for me, and may well be for you too, right? Like
Mhm.
it can take one job. All it takes is
Mhm.
one
Yeah.
lead for one job, and it pays for the whole thing. And I mean, I can say that about a lot of things. People try and convince me that way on a lot of things, but it is true, right? Like I get one large civil project, and I mean, I've paid for Luke's website services for the next 5 years, whatever,
Yeah.
right? So all it takes
I
is one
guess
of those.
too, I'm on our third, James, third
Yeah.
iteration or third provider. The last provider like promised the world and not that I pour over our website, man. Like it just happens in the background. I don't look at the friggin' stats, mate. I just got the shits with here and all the fishing rods and you got to do this and do that and it just rains money, rains people, rains leads and I wasn't seeing it, mate. And I just got tired of having these same conversations. And I'm not saying that good people are out there. And I didn't pose this question because I actually forgot that bloody Luke does the website thing,
Hey,
right? Legit.
we're gonna clip that part and use it.
Yeah.
So this is
Yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah. Look, but yeah, I just got tired of the promises and yeah, so now, man, I've given it to a company. I just said, mate, just look after the hosting rights. Maybe every couple of years we'll throw some new photos up, but I think the terminology, I don't know, I could be bloody wrong, Luke, but maybe I haven't found the right fit for what we do. So
Yeah, a couple
that
things.
was a legit question.
Yeah, a couple things on that, Scott, is you might be wrong, you might be right, but really your business is so different than, let's say, a service business that has a 100-mile radius. And with yours, you definitely need to balance the cost versus value, because what you would be looking for is international SEO. So
Yes.
there's international SEO, which is the entire world. There's national SEO, which is we're trying to rank for keywords in the country. And then there's local SEO, which would be your radius. So if you think of
Yes.
it, local SEO from a marketing standpoint is probably the easiest. That is, okay, we have this radius, we're trying to rank for these 5 zip codes, and we're trying to get reviews, and we're trying to build authority and relevancy in this area. And then Google sees that as, oh yeah, here's their pin, here's their reviews, and here's their content. Yep, let's bump them up the list and bump their Google business profile. When you get out to national SEO, it gets a lot harder because of the competition. And then especially with international SEO, which is what you would be doing. And on top of it, your services, what you would want to do, not you, but somebody like us, you'd want to take a look at the opportunity. So how many other companies are ranking for these keywords? And it's called keyword difficulty. You can see like, what is the reality of us, no matter how much we paid a company and how much work we do to rank for, whatever your top keyword would be, which would be, training services, like operator training services or something like that. And so you'd take a look at that and then you would try and justify the cost. And it's already an uphill battle in your line of business, right? And so you're probably going up against some huge international companies that have that small market share on the search engines, on Google. And so it's not to say that you wouldn't benefit from it, but it's just a totally different scenario than most companies that we would work with. And you got to be careful too. You don't want to drop $50,000 a year into something hoping that you get one job, maybe that might help chip away at this payment. So, and looking at your website too, it's all laid out very well. It looks great.
Okay.
There's a few, what I would say you could do is like foundational SEO to kind of get you in a good place to maybe pick up a couple of these keywords.
Okay.
But it's going to be more difficult to be competitive for these top keywords that you might be striving for. So, in a nutshell, websites are of course needed, but you want to get with somebody that is willing to tell you the truth and not just sell you over promise and under deliver. And I think, and that could be a friend, that could be somebody like me that's just saying like, hey, you're good with what you got. And there's tools nowadays that an agency like mine uses where you can see everything, and you can see your backlinks, you can see your authority, you can see how Google views you, how these search engines are viewing you. And then you kind of make decisions from there of what is the investment going to take to rank for some of these keywords, and what is the traffic associated with that, and what is the
Yeah.
value per lead and value per closed deal. Sometimes it doesn't even make sense to invest heavily into it, and that may be the situation you're facing. And honestly too, like, you have such a great platform on other areas that can drive traffic to the website. And hey, like we mentioned earlier, that's free. So
Yeah.
there's not
And
one way to skin it here, but in your business especially, I'm sure if we dug deep into it, we would see that your investment into LinkedIn and Instagram driving traffic to the website is going to be much more valuable than some international SEO, which would be very difficult.
you know what, bro? I kind of feel that, right? Because I look at the whatever the money we've spent on the website's been, I always come back to, mate, I can do a post on LinkedIn, get in front of 5,000, 10,000 eyeballs,
Mm-hmm.
you know, get an inbox from
Mm-hmm.
something that's, you know, from a person that's real, that's has a genuine inquiry. So maybe that's what I'm comparing it to.
Yeah.
You know, the
And
bang for buck and the ease of interaction. Again,
mhm.
LinkedIn, dead set. You can't beat it, man.
Yeah.
No, I
And
mean, if you
oddly,
know who your customer is, you just go
yeah.
and
Yeah.
subscribe. Like, you never before have you been able to just go directly into the inbox of a major decision maker at different
Crazy.
businesses or corporations, right? Like, it just completely cuts out the middleman.
I think I've said this before on another podcast somewhere, but my neighbor, he used to work in the aeronautic. He was a airplane engineer, and he started a training company of his own back in the 80s and 90s. And for Ted to get in front of people, it was either jump in his car, go and do a couple of thousand kilometers, or pick up the phone. I
Yeah.
said to him one day, I said, brother, I said, I can do a post and get in front of multiple thousands of people,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
sitting in my lounge room, you
Mm-hmm.
know, so very lucky that that's the current situation because
Hey,
doing business back in the day would have been bloody hard work.
you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
get past Susan at the front desk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Susans are tough. I tell you what.
Oh, the worst.
Yeah. Yeah, Scott, it's such a great discussion too, because even with SEO that we're talking about and the website, there's also a whole nother element that is a better fit. And that would be like very targeted pay-per-click ads where, hey, you're only popping up these ads if somebody searches this keyword. And then that is totally different than organic strategy.
Yeah.
And and that's a whole nother thing too, where you can dip your toes into it and see like what are these keywords bidding for and who am I going up against. And it's, if you wanted to, pour a little gas on the fire, like business is going well, but let's see if we can get it going more. I would say starting with paid ads would make more sense than starting with SEO in this case. But that's also something that is a much deeper conversation that we can have than that we can have here, and also with
Yeah, yeah,
much
yeah.
smarter people that like uh, our agency would have on our team. But it's it is, every business is different, and especially with your company, it's just what you're doing right now is amazing with the social platforms and that distribution channel leading to your cell number, your website, like you name it, booking a call with you, and leveraging that is absolutely the best thing you can do. And I think the question becomes, okay, when that is going really well, like it is, if we want more, or if we think we can hit that next gear, what is that next step? And I think my suggestion would probably be on the paid ad side of things, not on the organic SEO side.
Yeah, cool, man. I'm sorry to
So
bloody put that on the table, and you're right, it's a rabbit hole, but
no, you don't have
I
to say sorry. I mean, that's my
yeah,
life every day. So I love talking about it. And James, obviously you're even very well versed in that side of things too, because you know it seems like you know everything in the business, but especially on the marketing side, you're very in tune with how all that works.
Yeah, just enough to be dangerous. That's
Yep.
that's what I like to say. Enough to ask the right questions, and hopefully someone smarter than me can give me the right answer.
James Danger Stixma.
Yeah, exactly. That's what my wife calls me. Oh,
Yeah.
we'll get you one. If you're at ConExpo, we'll get you one.
Yeah, we need some t-shirts made. And speaking of that, Scott, are you going to be wearing that mustache at ConExpo, just so our listeners know?
Dude,
that's some serious planning right there.
God, thank you, man. No, I don't know if I can. Look, everyone's good friend Matt Clovey, he gives me props for it. You know, we talk.
He's
we
got
talk
a
every
great
couple of months, every month, whatever it is. And Mac is suitably impressed. So I'll do me darndest, man.
Okay, right on. Because I know everyone listening is going to want to see. Is going to want to see the stash. Yeah, Mac Plovey has got one of the best ones I've seen too.
Oh, mate,
unbelievable. He's also way taller than you expect.
Mate, that's the downside of hanging out with Mac, because I'm no longer 6'4".
Yeah,
Mac is.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, when you meet people on social media and then you meet them in person, you're like, did not know you were 6'10".
Mate, did not at all. I just remember walking into the grounds at ConExpo day one, and I'd been talking with Mac, like just texting, going, "Where are you?" And mate, I've rounded the corner and fair income. I kept on looking up. It was he's a big human.
The shadow, yeah, he's a great guy. We should have him on the podcast, James. He would be a riot.
Mate, he's a lovely bloke, man.
Oh my gosh.
Lovely bloke.
Yeah, definitely got to have him on. And Scott, before we kind of officially wrap up here, for one, It has been an absolute pleasure. And this episode I've been so excited to record, but I mean, you've over-delivered for us, for our listeners. Thank you for your transparency. Thank you for your time. Before we jump off, as we always like to do, how can people reach out to you? If people have any questions, people want to, visit, how can people come in contact with you here?
Matey, just Scott Lidster on LinkedIn is probably the easiest. We, DM on Insta, same. The Australian Earth, LinkedIn stuff comes through to me.
Right on.
So probably those platforms, to be honest, Lukey. That's the easiest.
Right on. And then we always like to do a book recommendation segment towards the end here. So any books you'd like to recommend to our listeners here, anything you've enjoyed, what do you got in terms of book recommendations?
Yeah, look, dude, I'm not a prolific reader.
Sure.
I have, in the past, I've dabbled in the art of reading.
Yeah.
But there's a really cool book. It's based on a fictional Australian character. He's a bouncer at a nightclub. It's called You Wouldn't Be Dead for Quids. Mm-hmm. And it's by an author, R.G. Barrett. And R.G. Barrett has in his characters a guy called Les Norton. Mm-hmm. R.G. wrote probably, I don't know, maybe 8 books around this character. And for anyone that wants to learn the colloquialisms of Australia vernacular, mate, Wouldn't Be Dead for Quids, rip into it. It's quite the laugh. And when you need someone to translate it, Australian Earth Training, we offer a service of Australian translation.
Classic.
So yeah, hit me up. You wouldn't be dead for quids.
There it is. We've never had that book recommended, and I need to read it now. So,
Mate, I think
were you wanting a shirt or a new jumper? A shirt or a jumper you were looking for? Because Luke's got his jumper on there right now, right? Is that right for Australia? The hoodie or the sweatshirt?
Oh man, hoodies are good. We're coming out of winter, so yeah.
Oh yeah.
Someone might have lied to me. I thought they were called jumpers in Australia.
Oh yeah. Jumper. Yeah,
I had no idea.
No? All right.
Oh really?
And Scott, if he does send you one of these, this has been my favorite sweatshirt for the last 2 years. So it is peak quality.
Right on.
James, you got a book recommendation before we wrap things up? I do have one as well. So.
Well, you better. I mean, you're on 75 hard again, so you got to be reading
some
every
news
day,
about
right?
that as well.
Oh dear. Oh no. Okay.
Hold on. Well, let's do book recommendations.
Okay. All
right,
we'll
talk about it. We're gonna wait till the end of the episode, so maybe some people drop off.
All right. Well, I was listening to a bunch of the Dave Ramsey podcast, and so I haven't had a chance to crack this one open yet. But every once in a while, he was recommending some books, and this one is called The Motive by Patrick Lencioni, and it just goes over why so many leaders abdicate their responsibilities. And so I'm really looking forward to cracking into this one and going over a little bit more. Determining why, I'm assuming why we do what we do, and figuring out, oh, I think I have that one too. But yeah, just figuring out why we do what we do. And once you figure that out, it's a little easier to make decisions when you sort of keep that in the rear view or in focus as far as what you want to do.
Man, that is awesome. I've not read that one either. So that is 2 for 2, I'll say, on books I need to buy. The two I'm reading right now, I think I mentioned this one before, but Rocket Fuel. This is by Gino Wickman. And so Gino is the author of Traction and the creator of EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. We've talked about it a ton on the podcast, but essentially Rocket Fuel is kind of that. So in every company, if you're running on EOS, there's the visionary and the integrator. That's your number one and your number two. Kind of they go hand in hand. This book is specifically for those two roles to read together. So it's how does the visionary work with the integrator and vice versa, and what are the two? And so for us in our company, Josie's our integrator, which is our COO, and I would be the visionary. And it's amazing because it's almost telling us what our personalities are and why we're in those spaces. And it is spot on. But it also talks about, what I need to give up as the visionary to respect the integrator's time and vice versa, and how we got to be careful not to intermingle those two roles. And so Rocket Fuel, check it out. I would actually recommend checking it out after you've implemented EOS a little bit and read Traction. So this would be probably that next step. And James, I think you just saw this book, but $100 million money models, Alex Hormozy. I didn't even have to buy it because it sounds like he did this giveaway thing where everyone bought hundreds of books and then had to send them to people. So I had multiple people hit me up asking if I wanted one for free. And I said, sure. Yeah. And it is a giant book, but super easy read. And yeah, I've always been a good fan of Alex Hormozy and his marketing mind. And his books, this one is a lot of it is on offers, but really just how to make money in any business. And it's very transferable. It's very simple. And that's what I love about his writing. It is very actionable. So $100 million money models and Rocket Fuel. And I guess, James, I'll have to address the 75 hard thing. And then we'll jump off because I do have to pee. And thank you for everyone staying on this late. If you're still on, this has been an unbelievable episode.
Hopefully Scott's brother isn't hanging out in the hall while you go pee.
Yeah, about to take me out there. Yeah, 75 hard. I got to be honest with everyone. Got to be honest with myself. Olivia and I failed miserably on day 5.
Oh no!
I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I didn't go into it with the right mindset. I was kind of just like, yeah, I'll do it for my 3rd time. Sure. I just kind of walked right into it and wasn't as fired up as before. And it wasn't for the reason that I thought I would fail. Because the one thing that I would say I have the strongest hold on is the alcohol part. And I could give 2 shits less if I had another drink, even in my lifetime. It's fun, but I've gotten past that. We were at a wedding in Omaha and we were with all of our friends, and both Liv and I kind of looked at each other. We're like, what do you think? And I think when we opened the door for each other, we're like, we could just start over. And we're only 5 days in, and I don't know how I feel about it, but I didn't feel that guilty, which I think that's part of the problem. I wasn't super committed, and we had an unbelievable night, had a few drinks, got up the next day and still got our workouts in, but we ended up switching up to not calling it 75 hard, of course. We're like, all right, 30 days in September. Let's go a hard sprint. We're going to add in our workouts. We're going to add in the water, the reading, and a financial aspect, a personal finance goal we have, and some other key goals that we set. So we're doing this 30-day sprint. We're going to get to Q4 with some steam, and then we're going to, who knows, we'll see what else we do. But failed miserably. Hope you all love to hear that. And thanks for bringing it up, James.
I take great comfort knowing that in November at the football game, you might be able to have a beverage or two this time around. So
so I think we needed to clear the air on that. I think I need to Seattle Seahawks, Minnesota Vikings in Seattle. I need to be available to have a couple tall ones with James and more than a few hot dogs. So,
I mean, I think it's right after Thanksgiving weekend for you folks there. I know ours is coming up next month here, but I think it's either the week before or the week of, something like that. It is
the weekend of. So like Thursday's Thanksgiving.
The Sunday after.
Friday we fly out. And then, Sunday we're going to be hanging out. So super excited for that. Scott, what an unbelievable episode. I had a high bar for this episode, and this is way better than I expected. This is so fun. Thank you for being on the show. Thanks for being such an unbelievable friend. Excited to see you at Con Expo, and excited just to keep the good times rolling, man.
Man, echo what you said, brother. Like, again, I appreciate the opportunity to get on and have a chat and to meet James. Like, again, like-minded people. But I only wish you all the success, mate. I've really enjoyed this too. Looking forward to ConX.
Heck yeah. And James, thank you again for on the run for guest host of the year 2025 2 years in a row.
Coming for you, Dervin.
Yeah, Dervin's putting up a stand. So we'll see how the polls finish out and who wins the belt. But you guys, can't thank you enough. Unbelievable episode 103. We will see you guys in Las Vegas in March.
Thanks, gents.